And welcome to another episode of the Two Fans Podcast. I'm your co-host, Joshua Ament.
And I'm your other co-host, Ari Jesselson.
And we are here on a Friday, ready to talk some baseball. Playoffs are just days away, but we do have to start with a couple of errors and omissions, mostly omissions, because we were so caught up in talking about week 3 in the NFL. There's some big news sort of developing in the NBA, referring back to our ongoing segment, which I have titled, We're Still in a Pandemic.
Woo! Let's go. So
yes. Oh, okay. Sorry, are you going to take that?
No, you take it.
All right. So as a part of the NBA's actually, first of all, I should start with some good news concerning the NBA, and that is that just about 95% of the league is vaccinated. So good on them for that. Now we get into more of the controversy. As a part of the NBA's guidelines, teams that are playing in cities with vaccine mandates for indoor events. So in the NBA, this would apply to New York and San Francisco, so the Knicks, Nets, and Warriors. Players playing home games there are required to be vaccinated or else they can't play. Visiting teams are exempt from this, so it really does only concern the Knicks, Nets, and Warriors. And the Knicks do not have a problem with this. 100% of their team is vaccinated, and we should be more like the Knicks. I did not think I would say that, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a weird year, just normally in sports, and because of that weird year, we're saying stuff like this, like, oh, the Browns are a playoff team, the Patriots are bad, be more like the Knicks. Like, it's weird to say.
Yeah, and while the Knicks are good, the Nets and Warriors both have one particular holdout that's getting a lot of attention, that being Kyrie Irving for the Nets, who did miss in-person media day. He has not commented on whether he's vaccinated or not, although knowing the landscape of the NBA, that would lead me to believe that he's not vaccinated, but that is speculation at best. Meanwhile, over in Golden State, Andrew Wiggins recently applied for a religious exemption from vaccination, and the league has denied it. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, and on top of him, there's also big names like Dennis Schroeder, Dwight Howard, who are uncertain enough, and Michael Porter Jr., who said that he's uncomfortable taking the vaccine. And so it just confirmed that we know he's not vaccinated. And Bradley Beal is also a big name who said he's not going to get the vaccine yet. So you got a lot of big names in the NBA who it might not affect them playing here, but it does kind of show the future of players getting the vaccine and what the outlook is when these bigger name guys don't take it.
Yeah, adds that name of the Orlando Magic, Jonathan Isaac, very vocal against vaccine. But of course, the more attention we bring to those guys, the more we take away from people like Damian Lillard, who during his media day gave a very big encouragement for all NBA players to get vaccinated. And I mean, of course, why not? Like it. I know there's the rhetoric of it's a personal decision, do the research. But at the end of the day, this is a decision that affects more than just you, affects everyone you come into contact with. So, I mean, of course, I feel like we do have to once again realize that these critics of vaccine, like these Wiggins, these Jonathan Isaac, these Bradley Beals, they're not as common as we make them out to be. Once again, 95% of the league is vaccinated, and I think that's something the league can pull this head up high knowing.
Definitely, with a large percentage like that, it really wouldn't take a few names to really diminish that. And from just my experience, like also at the beginning, I get it at the beginning. I also didn't want to really take the vaccine yet. I thought it was kind of early, but I did it. I got vaccinated, and it's not as big of a deal as everyone makes it, as the internet makes it out to be. Just do it. You're saving lives. It's not that big of a deal at this point. You know what? It's just kind of the right move to do.
Of course. Now let's get into something a little bit less serious. I mean, serious in a different sense that baseball season is coming to a close. The playoffs are beginning in a matter of days. And honestly, we probably should have done this a week ago when the field was a little bit more wide open. Some playoff teams are sort of locking themselves in. We had 2 divisions clinched just last night. But basically what we're going to do today is we're going to look at just about all of the playoff teams, playoff contending teams, see what's been going on with them, and maybe give our outlook for how the playoffs are going to work.
Yeah. So, where do you want to start?
I want to start. I'll start with both of the 1 seeds. And while one of them has not yet been confirmed, the division hasn't been clinched yet. We'll start with the Tampa Bay Rays because really, when you look at them, they are the biggest tragedy in baseball. And that may not make sense at first glance because you look at them and year in and year out, they're at the top of a loaded AL East. We're going to be talking about 4 teams in that division today. All I have to say, poor Baltimore. But no team has consistently done more with less than the Rays. Their player payroll right now is 70 million. That's just over half of the league average. And yet no team in the AL has a better record than them. It is just ridiculous.
Honestly, just imagine what even $1 million could do for this team. Just an additional $1 million to the salary cap. Tampa Bay always has one of the lowest salary caps in the league year in and year out. They can have more money. They're always a good team. I don't care why they spend it. This is a team who's always going to win with that low salary cap. I'm not even talking about Dodgers or Yankees that have money. At $1 million, they would run everything like they're doing now. And it's just crazy to me how the owners don't do anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, and even of course with the talent they have, like the team is going to be able to find the budget options and make moves that may seem baffling at first. Like remember when Blake Snell was traded over the offseason? I mean, God, yeah. It seems like they haven't even missed a beat. I mean, let's look at like the hitting core first. Like you got Mike Zunino, Brandon Lau, Wander Franco, Randy Arozarena, all with OPS pluses above 130. Adding Yandy Diaz, Joey Wendell, G-Man Choi. That's just a solid lineup all the way around. In the pitching side,
Shane McClanahan. Shane, really weird long name, or really bad long name for me to pronounce. McClanahan, Michael Waka, Rich Hill, Tyler Glasnow, who was on IL, Luis Patino. I mean, these are some incredible guys. Listen, it's not eye-popping. I mean, the lowest RBA is Glasnow, who was on the IL with the 2.66. The next guy is Rich Hill, who has a 3.87. But these are still guys who are going to win you games. These are still guys who know what they're doing. These are elite pitchers at the end of the day. And this is a team who knows what they're using with their tools.
Yeah, and you really got to look at that bullpen too. They don't necessarily have one clear-cut closer. You could probably make a case for Diego Castillo leading the team in saves with 14, but I mean, you got Andrew Kittredge, Colin McHugh, Pete Fairbanks. This is a full fleshed out bullpen. Much more to say there.
Just one of the great teams to watch, honestly. Just they know what they're doing all around. And if they just had $1 million, even better. And that's impressive because look at this team right now.
And this team, first of all, at the top of the AL. Second of all, at the top of the AL East, where 3 teams are still in contention for a wild card spot. Them being the New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, and actually back in Toronto, Blue Jays.
RIP the Buffalo Blue Jays. You will be missed. But yeah, it's a stacked division. And I know we also sorry to the Orioles. Y'all deserve better. Y'all have some great players. You just deserve better. But this is an elite division. One we oversaw this year because of how powerful the NL West was, which we will talk about also. But this is a stacked division. I mean, the Red Sox and Yankees are still fighting for the 2 wildcard spots.
Of course, not to mention the Blue Jays. They're not too far behind them. Of course, led by a spectacular season by Vlad Guerrero Jr. Let me see. He's hitting .313 batting average, .998 OPS. I mean, how many home runs is it now? The 46.
Yeah.
By the way, Marcus Semien also has gone pretty under the radar. But he's had 44 home runs, and that's a record among second basemen. So let's shout him out there.
I don't think anyone's talked about that at all, you know? I did not hear anything about that before. And all 3 teams are incredible. And to be above all 3 of these teams, you have something special cooking for you. I hope this is their year. I really do. They're one of my favorite teams to watch right now. And they deserve to be that number 1 spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like so much to root for there in the AL East of course, there's the Red Sox and Yankees, which many may not want to see, but I mean, between the Rays, between the Blue Jays, between the rest of the AL, you want to go over to the AL Central. You got another bright young team in the Chicago White Sox that finally actually broke through this year, took the AL Central by storm, and they're looking to make a strong playoff push.
It's about damn time they do so. What a great roster. Tim Anderson, one of the GOATs. Jose Alvarez. Yasani is a great catcher. Just a team that's stacked. If Dallas Keuchel, I know he's been on the decline. This might be one of his final years in the league. But this is also a team that kind of knows what they're doing. Just Tony La Russa, no one likes to see him win. No one wants to see him win. Let's be honest with that. You don't want to see him win. I don't want to see him win. He's going to talk about how players can't do parades and stuff like that because it doesn't have the fundamentals of baseball. But this is a team I called back in the offseason that was going to be really good and break out. And I'm very happy they did so because this is a team that is loaded also.
Yeah, I mean, and once again, like, I don't even know where you want to start. Like, this team has pieces in every phase of the game. You want to talk about that explosive offense with Grandal, with Luis Robert, with Tim Anderson, Moncada, Eloy Jimenez. Like, I don't even know where you want to start or end that discussion with. You want to talk about the starting pitching with Giolito, with Lance Lynn, again, like you mentioned with Keuchel, Carlos Rodon. You want to talk about the bullpen, Liam Hendricks, Aaron Bummer, Garrett Crotchet. Like, I probably mispronounced that. Is it Crochet or? I really don't know.
You're asking me about names.
Yeah, all right. Apologies in advance, but there is one small concern I have with the White Sox, and that is the fact that their record is only good enough for the 3 seed in the AL, despite being in what might be the weakest division in baseball. No other team in that division is above 500, which really a championship contender, I feel like, would take advantage of to at least like 100+ win season. White Sox are only sitting at 91 wins with just a few games left.
Yeah, and with a stacked team in a really bad division where no team besides the White Sox are even at 500. The closest is Cleveland at 491. Like, you would really think they would dominate a little more. But also, it does obviously bring us speculations, but I hope this is a team that, because at their highs, they are a great team. And I think we've seen their highs many times. We all know that Field of Dreams game. What an incredible game to go back to. One of the best games of baseball of all time, maybe you could say. So we know what their highs could be. We also know what their lows could be with a lot of these embarrassing games where they should have had an easy win. Hopefully we don't see those White Sox in the playoffs, because those White Sox won't go far. And it's a stacked division this year.
Yeah, and we talked about, of course, I mean, the AL Central is a pretty clear cut. You can talk about the White Sox and not much else. The AL East, we mentioned, had 4 contenders. The AL West, somewhere in the middle, where the A's were just eliminated from the wild card race in what really could have been a 5-way tie for two wild card spots, which I don't even know if there are ways that the league accounts for that in the rule book. But whatever the case, that's not going to happen anymore. The Seattle Mariners are still in contention. I believe they're a game and a half back of that second wildcard spot as we speak. And then we have to talk about the team that just clinched the division, the Houston Asterisks.
Hold on, wait. I have to bring my garbage out. Yeah, I think we all want this team to lose, right? I think everyone outside of Texas wants this team to lose.
I mean, yeah, it really is a case of like, it is very interesting. Like, I don't want them to win, but I am very intrigued by the prospect of what happens if they win. Because that's going to say either one of two things. And number one is that they were clearly just sorry they got caught, found a new way to cheat, and then won. And I don't know if the home and away splits look the same way that they do in 2017. That I don't know if anyone's looking into that right now. I don't want to be like that conspiracy theorist that like, oh, the Astros are good, they must be cheating or anything like that. Like, no, there's still talent on that team. But that brings me into the second scenario where we can say that the Astros didn't cheat, won a World Series, and at that point, that just makes 2017 look so bad. If you can win a World Series, granted, even like without George Springer this time, a key piece of that 2017 team, and if you can win a World Series and do it the right way now, then why did you even cheat in the first place?
It also just shows that, yeah, we didn't even need to cheat to win. We just did it because we could. Like, I was a fan. I think, like, just like almost everyone who was a baseball fan, I was a fan of the Astros back then. With that loaded talent, with everything, with not winning a World Series in a long-ass time, or even ever. Like Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Verlander, Greinke, as he said, Springer. Like, they had a lot of great guys on that team, and they just cheated and they threw away everything. And now they prove they win. I don't even want to imagine it at this point, you know? Well, let's be honest. The MLB will probably give them a second World Series trophy just because they could.
Yeah, but let's not act like the Astros are the only team in the AL West that has playoff potential. I know we mentioned coming into this year the Seattle Mariners as maybe a dark horse candidate sneak into the playoffs, and it looks like they may be doing just that right now. At 89 wins and where'd the page go? 70 losses. This team, like, as I'm pulling up the stats and it's taken a while to load, I'll just say that I mean, they haven't been good for a while. You can probably, I'm sure some people have seen like the SB Nation series, Secret Base now, whatever. That this is a team that has not had much historical success. That a playoff run would means so much for this team. Where do you even want to start with talking about them on the field?
I don't even know how to start with this team because I feel like I know they're a good team. I just really can't name how they're a good team. You know what I mean? Like I feel like besides Kyle Seager, I can't really name a lot of guys on this team. But I just know that they're a great team, that everything's been working for them.
I mean, yeah, you can probably, again, I'm just pulling up stats, and I know stats don't tell the whole story, especially in such a marathon year. I'll say overall, like you want to look at Ty France with an OPS plus 129, Mitch Haniger 122. I know Jared Kelenic hasn't exactly panned out this year, but the weird thing is he didn't need to. Like this is still a team that's putting up with the best of them. You want to go over to starting pitching. You got guys like Chris Flexen and Marco Gonzalez that may not be putting up these eye-popping numbers, a 3.67 ERA, an ERA of 4, but I mean they're getting the job done. You want to look at the bullpen. Really a sort of two-headed beast there on the closing end. Drew Steckenrider and Paul Sewell. Again, these are just guys like not flashy. There's no like one driving force to this team, but they're getting the job done.
Exactly. At the end of the day, that's what matters the most. They're getting this job done and they're winning games. You might not know a lot of these guys on the roster, but at the end of the day, they're winning games. Why would it matter? As long as they're winning games, that's all they need to do.
Yeah, and I mean, I probably should have pulled up the schedule for, I believe, coming up this weekend is going to be the last series for every team. So I will try to pull up the ones that are relevant to the AL wildcard race. In the meantime, I don't know, are you able to give us a rundown of what the standings look like at the moment?
Sort of. So in the AL, number 1 is Tampa. Number 2 is the Asterix. 3 is the White Sox. 4 is the Yankees. And 5 is a tie with the Mariners and the Red Sox.
Heads up, where are the Blue Jays in that? How far back are they?
I gotta find that because I don't see the Blue Jays on mine right now.
Okay, well, I can. All right, I can pull up some games, some series to look out for. The Rays are going to be playing the Yankees in the Bronx, so that might be one where I don't know what the Rays are thinking. If they want to take it easy the last couple games, they want to keep the foot on the gas pedal, but I don't know. You see the Yankees drop 2 or 3, all 3. Who knows what that could do for the wild card race? The Blue Jays have 3 games at home against the Orioles. So they're definitely going to be looking to make up ground there. Astros are going to be hosting the A's. That might have had implications a couple weeks ago, but not so much anymore. White Sox hosting the Tigers. Mariners are going to be hosting the Angels. Again, this is one where they're going to be hoping to solidify their playoff position. And the Red Sox are going to be in DC taking on the Nationals. So it's really tough to tell. You said the Yankees have a couple of games of a lead for that 4 seed, that first wild card spot, and they're the one team that's facing another playoff team. It's going to be really interesting to see how this works out. If we get a tie, where we get ties, all that. All I'm going to say is, don't just expect a game 163 here. I'm expecting a game 164 as well.
It's going to be fun. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Let's go over now to the NL, where it's not as chaotic, but there still are a couple of storylines. And let's start here in the West. And I mentioned that both 1 seeds have a bit of a sad story to them. and we mentioned the Rays and how just imagine what they could be if they spent something. But now look over to the NL West, and I'll start with the good news, is that we were looking at the start of the season for gold in a rivalry between the Dodgers and the Padres. And we found platinum in a rivalry with the Dodgers and the Giants.
I think we all missed that, honestly. I don't think anyone would have called that. But yeah, for those who don't know, the Giants and Dodgers both lead with wins. Giants at 105, Dodgers at 103, respectively. Like, who saw the Giants doing this year? You know?
Yeah, nobody did. Like, we talked about it a couple months ago that, like, it's how did this happen? Like, these are the same guys that just like a couple of years ago were like a fringe playoff, like 500 team at best. And now everyone is just balling out. You get Chris Bryant at the deadline. Like, what more do you want?
I mean, your best player on the team is one of your best players on the team is a 34-year-old Brandon Crawford, and a 33-year-old Brandon Belt. A lot of those guys from the 2014 World Series are still in the team dominating in 2021. Like, I think that's the thing that always is crazy to me. I mean, Buster Posey, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, Evan Longoria. Obviously, they got a Chris Bryant in the by the deadline. Like, this is a team that you would think would win in 2015. You wouldn't think a lot of these dudes could be this dominant in 2021, like 6-7 years later, but they are. And I just love it. You know, maybe it's the inner child of me watching this team win the World Series so many years ago. Maybe that's why I'm excited for them. But I'm excited for this team.
Yeah, and I mean, like on the pitching side too, you see these names and you're thinking like, wait, what? How are these not like household names that are putting up some pretty damn good numbers? Kevin Gausman, Anthony DeSclafani, Logan Webb, even Johnny Cueto's having a decent year.
Alex Wood, you forgot also. Everyone from those five, everyone but Johnny Cueto is at 10 wins or more. Like, this is just an incredible team.
Yeah, and I mean, not of course they right now have a 2-game lead in the NL West over the Giants. I can look up the schedule real quick. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Giants and Dodgers are both going to be playing a home series to close out the regular season. Giants hosting the Padres, Dodgers hosting the Brewers. Potential for a little bit of shakeup. Although once again the Giants do have the lead, so they would need to lose 2 out of 3. So I wouldn't really expect anything to change, but what I do expect is the Giants and Dodgers both to finish with the 2 best records in the MLB. And this brings me to a real tragedy in baseball. And that is that the team with the 2nd best record in baseball is going to be starting the playoffs with the winner go home game. Manfred, fix the goddamn system.
But it's also the Dodgers. Do you really want to see them win again? You know?
Like, I think that if you win more games than all but one team, and that team just so happens to be in your division, you should not be punished for that.
I get that.
There is potential for the Atlanta Braves to go farther into the playoffs than the Dodgers, despite winning 20 less games than them.
Yeah, I get that. That all makes sense, and I agree with you. But if it wasn't the Dodgers, then I'm on board. The problem is it's the Dodgers, so I gotta be a deceptive little shit right now. You know? But
I mean, you're not
Dodgers,
wrong.
Yeah. Well, the Dodgers.
But there is still potential for the Dodgers to win the division. And at that point, what, you want the Giants?
No, and if it's the Giants, then I'm on your side. Right now, I'm on your side when the Dodgers lose. Or that's just it. I'm just jealous of them because they could just throw money at whenever. And we've seen that with 2 of the best pitchers this year. Like in the offseason, they got Trevor Bauer, who hasn't played many games because of off the field issues, and now they got Max Scherzer at the deadline.
I mean, yeah, these are like we saw like the Rays and Dodgers, like that pretty much was like their story of baseball right now. The the big spender, no matter how good the budget system that the Rays or the Brewers or some small market organization is gonna have, if you have money, you're gonna win. And that's exactly what the Dodgers proved. I mean, that's kind of what the Giants are proving. That's what the Mets hope to prove.
Which we will
But
talk
sometimes
about.
you got to realize it's not always about the money.
It's about the Mets, baby. The Mets. I love the Mets. The home run. I love that meme. If only your teams could hit the home runs like in the TikToks. But I guess going to the Dodgers. Let's start with the pitching because they obviously do have the money to throw these big spenders, and they do. I mean, Walker Buehler, fucking incredible season, 2.49 ERA, 15 wins, 4 losses. Julio Urias, 19 wins, 3 losses, 3.01 ERA. Then Kershaw is another 10 win season. You got guys like Max Scherzer, Joe Kelly, David Price, who are pitching good games this year. Like, you have a lot of great things on your pitching side. This is one of the best bullpens in the MLB right now, and I will say on that. These are just incredible guys who know how to win games, and they're some of the elite guys in this league.
Yeah, I mean, there's like you can talk about the pitching, you can talk about the hitting. Like this team is just stacked. Like you have the names that you know on the Dodgers. You have your Kershaws, you have your Cody Bellingers, you have your Will Smith, Max Muncy, your Corey Seager, Justin Turner, AJ Pollock, Mookie Betts. Now you also add in Max Scherzer, you add in Trey Turner too. Like it takes more than talent to beat this team.
Yeah, and that's maybe the MLB should have, a set system for things. So not the bigger markets could spend more money, while the littler markets can't spend as much. Maybe that's a good rule the MLB can apply,
Oh, God forbid parody.
Yeah, God forbid. Oh my God, the MLB sucks sometimes. I think we kind of confirmed that so many times right now. And
yeah,
the Padres. What could have been? But
yeah,
it's not
I
always
really,
about the Padres. So
yeah,
I had to do it.
I know. All I'm gonna say is like I really, like I'm just absolutely puzzled. Like, what happened to this team? Like they looked so good. Like Tatis and Machado and the bats. And you basically got 3 aces in the offseason in Snell and Darvish and Musgrove, and they all just fell apart.
It wasn't even, it just, for me, it kind of sounded like it was crashing, and then it was like fizzled. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain that. This is how I felt with the season. Like, it was incredible. Then it was crashing a little bit, and then it just like sprinkled more losses than wins, and everything just sprinkled out. We noticed that they were eliminated. Like, this was a team that was supposed to go so much further. I mean, Hosmer, Cornsworth, Tatis Jr., Machado, Tommy Pham. These are Will Myers. These are all guys with an OPS above 330. That pitching is still a great pit. It's still a great bullpen. Like you added Darvish, Blake Snell, like you said, you will have all the pieces. I don't know why it didn't fit this year. They had everything to be good, and hopefully they still get more a few seasons. But a lot of these big contracts might hold them back, So hopefully we could see this Padres team do something with their roster. And this isn't an issue like the Angels, who they like 2 generational guys and that's it. This is a team that has so many guys who are so many greats on this team. So I don't know why things didn't really work out this year.
Yeah, I mean, you could point to bad luck. You could maybe point to like a couple too many injuries. Again, this is something that honestly puzzles me. That I can't give an answer right now. Like, I don't know what they're supposed to learn from this. I don't know what they're supposed to do in the offseason other than just hope everything works out better next year. But hey, at least we have the Giants Dodgers.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Okay, and
Yeah, I want to move over to the NL Central now.
yeah.
I'll start with the Brewers, because they have just been pretty consistently good team throughout the season. Like, I know Cubs had the lead in the NL Central for a good part of the early year.
I feel
That
your
was
pain.
fun.
I feel your
That
pain.
was fun. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, no, but the Brewers have just been a very solid team. Most of that, of course, comes from their pitching with Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta. I don't think there's really anyone in the league that has a better 1-2-3 punch than that. You look at the bullpen, you look at Brent Suter, Josh Hader, and a guy that they might be without for the start of the playoffs, Devin Williams, who fell victim to a true baseball injury.
Yeah.
Hand injury after punching a wall in celebration of winning the NL Central.
Yeah. At least do it when you. I get it's a big deal. Like congratulations and all that, but at least do it when you win something major, even bigger than that. Don't go all out at the start. You know. And I could make a very. I'm not gonna say it. Never mind, because that's definitely gonna be censored then. But you shouldn't celebrate too early. And now we see what. And just adding to it. I mean, we gotta talk about this outfield. Lorenzo Cain, Jackie Bradley Jr., Christian Yelich, uh, Aristo Garcia. Like you gotta. This is one of my favorite outfielders. Maybe because maybe two of those three guys are big key pieces for my childhood in baseball, but it's still great. It's still great. Outfield.
Yeah, I mean Lorenzo Cain in particular. Like you want to talk about 2020. He opted out after the first couple of days, and the Brewers, like in part because of that, really didn't meet expectations. They snuck in as the 8th seed, got swept by the Dodgers. But I mean, this year with him back, you add Jackie Bradley Jr. into that outfield, like you said. You trade at the start of the season for Willie Adames. Like, yeah, this offense is holding its own.
The one thing that does concern me though is Yelich, because I feel like I haven't seen MVP Yelich. You know, I've seen more of this weirder Yelich. He doesn't perform all the time, and I know this team is more than Christian Yelich, but he is a key factor in this team, and I do want this team to do more, especially in this playoffs. But this team again is bigger than him, and these are guys who can hold on their own. I'm just afraid they can't hold on their own against guys like the Giants and the Dodgers and bigger guys. But I think this team could go pretty far.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they are the 2 seed for a reason, probably third best team in the NL. But like you said, it's not just Christian Yelich. I mean, he like is pretty much at the plate, had a pretty average year, batting 247, 360 OBP, 734 OPS. But meanwhile, like I said, like Adames has been picking up most of the slack, driving that hitting core. Avisel Garcia, Colton Wong have also done pretty well for themselves. That I don't know. I mean, at this point, it seems like Yelich stepping up and uh, having an MVP type performance is just a bonus to them. And it may be something they need to take on the Dodgers or the Giants, but at least in the NLDS, when they're taking on Atlanta, I think they're going to be able to make quick work of them.
Yeah, I think so too. In Atlanta, the NL West, the NL East, incredibly disappointing to me this year. I'm not just saying that as a Mets fan, you know, because so many of these teams could have been so much better. The Phillies could have been better. The Braves could have been a lot better. We could have been a lot better. Like, I don't want to go on a Mets tangent, but my sum is we should have been a lot better. Injuries fucked us up again. We're wasting DeGrom and Syndergaard, even like congratulations to Syndergaard coming back, playing his first game in like 2 years. Our team is conky. Lindor might be a team cancer. And I just can't wait for next season. That's just kind of it. I'm still fucking disappointed, but we got this.
Yeah, I mean, you wanna point out something about the NL East. Atlanta won the division. They're only 86 and 72. To put that into perspective, Toronto Blue Jays would be out of the playoffs in the AL right now. They're 88 and 71. So, NL East, get it together.
Yeah, but this is still a team I want to see do well. I know they don't really have all the key pieces, but they got Jock, they got Freddie Freeman, one of the goats of baseball. Acuna was hurt, so you had that real good story. Travis Diamond was a Met, so I do hope all the best for him. But I don't know about this team. You know what I mean? It's just this is a team that should be playing whoever the Dodgers are playing against the Cardinals. The Dodgers and the Braves should swap because the Braves don't deserve to be this high, and the Dodgers with their record don't deserve to be that low.
100% agreed.
Like I don't even think. I guess the only thing of note is the pitching. Like Charlie Morton, he's a high ERA, but 3.39, but 14 wins, 6 losses. Max Fried is 3.04 ERA, 14 wins, 7 losses. You do got guys who are close to 10 or have 10 wins in pitching. So this bullpen isn't nothing to cry about. But this is not a team who deserves to be here. The NL East though doesn't deserve to have a representation here. The only reason I want this team to go far is for Freddie Freeman, and that's all they deserve. This team should not be far at all. This team should be playing the Cardinals, not the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't deserve to be down there. The Braves don't deserve to be up here.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the Cardinals, I want to say at the beginning of the season, if you told me that the Cubs would just fall off a cliff and the Cardinals would come out of nowhere, I would not disagree with you. If you told me that would happen in the middle of June, I would have said you're crazy. And yet somehow it happened. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about the Cubs for my own sanity. But I will say, Patrick Wisdom, Frank Schwindel, Rafael Ortega, they've been pleasant surprises. But I will say about the Cardinals, they look just so out of sorts for so much of the year. And their trade deadline moves were acquiring J.A. Happ and John Lester. And we were all like, what are they doing? And yet those guys have been pitching pretty well. And the Cardinals just ended a 17-game win streak to lock themselves into the playoffs. Like, I genuinely don't know how that happens.
I wish I could give you an answer, but I don't. At first in the offseason, they got nailed and they're going to be the best team here. Then things looked very out of sync for them. They didn't look coordinated. They didn't look like a team ready. And then they just kept winning games, and then the division kind of choked on themselves. They kept winning games. The division kind of choked. And now we're here. Like, obviously, Adam Wainwright, goat of a pitcher. 17 wins, 7 losses. Like, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. There's no denying that. There was never denying that. And that just proves that as a 39-year-old pitcher, doing what he's doing is incredible. But these guys like Kwang Hyun Kim, Carlos Jack Flaherty, John Lester, who they added, who's been pitching pretty well for them. Alex Reyes. You do have guys who are pitching pretty well. And then you do obviously have Paul Goldschmidt, who is on that team. Kind of forget that sometimes. But the Diamondbacks somehow traded him. Marlena is on the aging side. Is definitely one of his last years in the MLB. Tommy Edmonds been playing good, and you do have guys who know how to do their roles. But for me, that's just kind of it. They just know how to do their roles in a weak division.
Yeah, I mean Tyler O'Neill too. Like he's been having honestly just as good a season as Goldschmidt. He's got 32 home runs, batting 280, an OPS of 886. And carrying good chunk of that offensive firepower there that again, and this team is getting hot at the right time. That, especially in a 1-game playoff against either the Dodgers or the Giants, like both those teams should be very scared. And once again, Manfred, fix the system.
Please, Manfred, just do it already. Honestly, but yeah, no, the NL in general, kind of disappointing this year. A lot of teams that should have been better were better. A lot of teams who were still pretty good this year could have been a lot better also. And I just don't really have that many opinions on this division. Maybe that's because I'm just more disappointed in the Mets and the Cubs. But the Padres, what could have been? At least you're not the Pirates. There's always that.
Is there any better note we can end it off on?
The Cubs had the perfect amount of wins.
Oh, okay. Wait. Oh no. You know what? You know what I can talk about?
Because they got 61 wins.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's that. That's nice. Let's give some more Shohei Ohtani love. I mean, we can talk about like we can just call him the MVP now. Like, there's no controversy in that.
Yeah, like it would have been Vladdy if Shohei didn't outperform this year.
Yeah, I mean, like we can talk about again, like how ridiculous what he's been doing at the plate, on the mound, everything. But he also just tied a record for most triples in a season. He's got 8. And that's just like, what more do you want from this man?
There's not much more you can do. Like, he's just one of the greatest baseball players I think we've ever seen of all time. And also, just more shout-outs. Congratulations, Salvador Perez, for breaking the catcher's home run record in a season. We did talk about the Blue Jays second baseman who did break the second base home run leader in the season, and most no-hitters in the season happened this year. And at the end of the day, it was disappointing.
Oh yeah, and Tyler Gilbert. We didn't even talk about that.
We didn't. Like, this is an incredible season.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go over it like real quick. Like Tyler Gilbert, a couple months ago for the Diamondbacks, in his first ever MLB start, threw a no-hitter. Like, it's not the first time it's happened, but it's still yeah.
So just congratulations to him. Listen, it might have been a disappointing season, but at the end of the day, life is always better with a baseball season happening.
Amen. And with that, I think we're going to end it here. So thank you so much for listening to us and bearing with us. We do this, try to do this every single Monday and Friday. If you have any questions, comments, something you want us to talk about, you can always leave a comment down below or email us at number 2, fanspodcast@gmail.com. Any last words?
No, I think that's it.
So until next time, we will talk to you then.